Okay, I want to talk today about greed. I had an exchange earlier today with a commenter here on YouTube, which swapped a few comments. And here's what happened. I saw a comment to a video there by a young person. I think she's 20, lives in California, about how stupid and selfish those people are who don't want to pay more in taxes. If only people were willing to pay more in taxes, everybody would have health care. There would be enough money around to give everybody health care and basically everything else they need. So how stupid and selfish those selfish people were who didn't want to pay more in taxes. And I responded to that comment saying, well, I think I'm taxed enough. Speak for yourself, pretty much. And what resulted was a very heated exchange of comments. Basically, the message that I got from that person was, you selfish bastard, who was acting like a selfish bastard by not wanting to pay more taxes. It's because of you the people are suffering, blah, 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 blah. And when I asked her, why do you think your beautiful state of California is $26 billion in the hole, basically bankrupt, she said, well, it's easy to understand. It's because of selfish bastards like you. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to comment on the stupidity of that particular commenter on YouTube, although there's plenty to be said. But here's the deal. Why I want to talk about greed. Greed is the root of all evil. So you, my liberal friends, believe. Let me try and explain a couple of things to you, or rather pose a few questions to you and see if you have answers. Maybe those answers, when you really think about them, can be illuminating enough so you begin to change your silly, uninformed opinion about how the world actually functions. You see, if everybody wanted to pay more taxes, you say, if everybody wanted to pay more taxes, if everybody was willing to be a little less selfish and give more, there would be plenty for everybody. Greed is bad. It's a greed that got us into the mess that we're in, blah, blah, blah. Well, let me ask you something. So if you take away greed or profit motive, well, first of all, why is greed bad? I mean, greed is what? Desire to have more as opposed to having less, right? It's a desire to improve your circumstance and make more money and, have more stuff and have a nicer house as opposed to having a smaller, shabbier house, and have a nicer car, and have nicer clothes. Are you telling me that you don't have those desires, that you're pretty happy with, a 15-year-old clunker for a car as opposed to a newer, nicer model, and you're happy to, live in a little hole, that you can rent for like, $500 or $300 or whatever, as opposed to living in your own nice house, and you're fine with having that for your kids? As opposed to something nicer? No, of course not. You don't believe that. You don't believe that. You want nicer things for yourself. And that's natural. I don't blame you for that. I want the same. Everybody wants the same. It's how we work as human beings. We do want more stuff and nicer stuff. We like to have more comfortable existence as opposed to less comfortable existence. So, but you condemn that desire. You say, well, it's one thing to want to have a little nicer car, but it's a totally different thing to want to make outrageous amounts of money. To be greedy is not the same as me wanting a nicer car. Okay, whatever. Even though that is intellectually indefensible, but okay. But let me ask you something else. So greed, desire to make more money. If you take that away, where's your next job coming from? You see, if there is no profit to be made, then why? Well, on a couple of levels I want to look at that. If there's no profit to be made, if I have a company, a business that provides goods and services to other people, if I'm not going to make any profit anyway, why bother do a good job? I'll just provide sloppy service because, hey, there's no incentive to make more money. You've just taken that away from me. I'm not supposed to want to make more money, therefore I'm not going to bother, and I'm just going to do a poor job. What you're going to get is mediocre services and mediocre products. And I speak from experience here. I grew up in the Soviet Union. There was no profit there. There was no private enterprise there, and everything was lousy. Everything was crap. Goods were crap. Services were non-existent, basically. So it was equality in misery. Pretty much, everybody had nothing. But there was no profit. That's your utopian, realized right there. But as someone who was born and raised there and grew up in that kind of environment, I can tell you that sucks. You wouldn't like that life. And by the way, you have no idea how nice you have it here. If you grew up in the United States, you have no freaking idea what it's like to live in a socialist society. But I digress. So if there's no profit motive, there are no goods and services that are good, because there's no incentive to work hard or work better than another firm down the street, because nobody makes any profit anyway. And even to go even further with that, why bother and create the business in the first place? So if there's no profit that I can make, why bother and set up a company? Why bother and set up a business and create those jobs? So without greed, my friends, you're out of goods and services that you like, and you're out of a job. Oh, but you can work for the government. Yeah, you can work for the government. Where do you think the government gets their money? The government gets their money from people who make money, as in make an income, and pay taxes on that income, and it gets its money from corporations and companies that make a profit and pay a tax on that profit. So you take those things away, you say nobody makes any more money anymore, and corporations are not allowed to have profits. You have no more tax revenues, and your government job goes down the toilet. So you're out of a job, you don't have access to goods and services that you like, but you condemn greed. Well, of course greed is bad. Greed is the root of all evil, you see. Only without it, the life that you like doesn't exist. Without it, the life that you like does not exist. These things are so easy to understand, but apparently not for my liberal friends. I had no success convincing that commenter on YouTube. She basically called me names and got very emotional and started insulting me from the word go, and basically, I understand that young people are stupid. Young people are pretty silly at 20. Yeah, whatever. She's probably been brainwashed for how many years, and I assume in a public education system. But it's the older people, it's the people who actually work in the real world that hold those views that I have a problem with, more of a problem with. Because, you see, I understand your desire for the world to be a better place. But just because you want it, just because you feel that some things are not right, doesn't mean that whatever crazy theories about the world and how it works and how the economy works are true. You see? I don't know. It's just frustrating. I have not had an honest intellectual discussion with a liberal, even though I've tried. I have not had an honest intellectual discussion with someone who identifies themselves as a liberal on any issues at all. That's frustrating, and it's fascinating. A fascinating study in human stupidity. You see, we're selfish bastards who don't care about anybody. We people who work for a living, who are not asking anybody for anything, and don't expect anybody to do anything for them, who rely on themselves to provide for them and their families. We are selfish bastards. We don't care about the poor and the needy and the children and whatnot. Do it for the children. Do it for the poor. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, for you, my liberal friends out there, you should get on your knees and pray every day. Pray for more greedy people who want to go out there and make a buck, so that those people can go out there and take risks and set up companies and provide goods and services to others and make a profit, so those profits can be taxed, and you can get your welfare or disability benefit, not disability, employment benefits and whatnot off of that money. Because without it, you're screwed. But if you believe what you believe, you're screwed anyway. Thanks for watching. Rate this video. Subscribe to my channel. There's more to come. See ya.